self-esteem, and generally your life as a young person. But before we get into that, let us have the quote for the day. It is from Maurice Olo Classics, and it says, "Desire is more powerful than you can ever fathom or comprehend." Desire is more powerful than you can ever fathom or comprehend. This is our quote of the day. Remember to share the video on social media. Drop us a like and your comments on the comment section. All right, guys, let's dive into it straight away. We are looking at seeing ourselves in God's eyes, and we are going to bring it further down for you for self-esteem. And maybe just to pose a question for my fellow co-hosts, what are some of the self-esteem issues that you've dealt with personally or even seen someone else dealing with?
First of all, I would like to define what self-esteem is. It's the value and how you perceive yourself, you know. So, question of value comes from what you believe in, you know. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in something, you know? So some of the self-esteem issues that most people face usually has to do with peers, you know, like trying to fit in. So if they don't fit a certain characteristic from where they want to join, it can be difficult for them to see themselves as valuable people. You know, comparison from social media, you know, where you see someone has a higher status taking a picture, and then you compare your life to them, so you feel like you have not accomplished anything. No, it can bring you down, can bring your confidence down. Self-esteem is going hand in hand with self-confidence. So I think, yeah, those are some of the self-esteem issues that some people face. I'm not sure about you, Natasha, that you have had.
Okay. On my end, it's majorly about body positivity, because there was this thing that people used to do in class where they rate you from head to toe. What is the best feature you have? How do you walk? How do you smile? How do you... So basically on this topic, I think we're going to, on my end, I'll basically tackling on self-esteem and body positivity. Yeah.
Because when you're talking about low self-esteem, it's the way you guys have said, somebody doesn't lack confidence, you feel unloved, you feel inadequate, you feel incompetent, and you're consistently maybe putting yourself down or even afraid of making mistakes, because you're afraid of people judging you.
Yeah, very true.
Right? And even it happens in relationships. Like even for us young people, okay? Mm-hmm. Even those out there, the guys that are dating, because of course dating now transcends into marriage, right? So when you're dating someone and he or she keeps on, looking down on you and even body shaming you. There was I was listening to a guest last week, and she talked about how she was she was actually young, pretty much like us, and she was talking about how she was in a relationship and the guy kept telling her she was ugly. Yeah, she kept telling her, you know what, you're ugly. In fact, you're so ugly, nobody will desire you out there. So that really affected her actually, because every time she could look at herself in the mirror, she could just imagine, oh my God, I'm so ugly, I'm not wanted, I'm not desired, So she actually even went to the extreme of now changing her body, because the guy, according to her, the guy was like, you're ugly and you're so dark, and I want a lighter person. So the lady was like, if you want a lighter person, then go out there are lighter people. And the guy was like, no, I'm staying with you, but I want a lighter person. So she was actually pushed to the point where she had to even, how do you call this?
Bleach.
Yeah, to even bleach herself, yeah. And it actually backfired. So she's even, things are pretty bad. Yeah, they are so bad.
That is such a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But on that, I also think at times, we tend not to look at ourselves through God's eyes. As we said, that's the topic for today. Yeah. It's beautiful when you understand who you are in God and not allow people to sort of conclude for you, to sort of make up these things for you. Yeah. It's very important to understand yourself through the Word. Yeah? Because I also sat down in a class where we were ranked. Literally, there was some group of girls who would sit in the corner and be like, oh, that one, her eyes are good, her lips are good. Her body, and it was so bad. I remember there was one girl, she didn't come from a family that was well off. The family was, let's say, struggling to survive. I don't know how true that is, but you could literally see the pain in her eyes when she was told, wewe si mrembo, hauna kitu yote yenye inaweza saidia mtu, you're not beautiful enough for us. That thing was so hurtful. I don't know if you have experienced that in your school. But I literally saw her tear up because of those words. Ukiambiwa tu, wewe si mrembo. Unakaaje? Angalia watu wote class. Unakaaje? That thing was so bad, yeah?
Yeah, personally affected me. Can give my own experience if you may allow.
Yes, sure.
So, in my classroom, when I first joined secondary school, I was among the shortest people. So people used to make fun of me because, I may lack size, I may lack that physique, that gets you a status, in school. So it even came to a point where I started, questioning like, when am I gonna get tall? In my own bedroom, in my own thoughts, I'm there. When am I gonna get tall? Or what type of foods will you eat to grow taller? Or what exercises can you do to increase your strength? Or, yeah. Yeah.
All agree, all of us. Yeah. All of us, if not two of us, but all of us have checked that. How can I grow tall?
I know, I used to do aerobics and I was like, you know what? I want to get skinny. I want to have plump cheeks because I could get, people are like, I don't know. hujanona vizuri. You know, you're not like that plump. They even have like the level of plumpiness they want you to have. Like, so all those insecurities, yeah.
So, yeah, it really affected me so badly. I started hating myself, you know, started having these thoughts. Yeah, maybe I'm worthless just because I don't have the height, or, you know, someone may look at me differently because of how I see myself. You know, because I think I'm short, someone else might think, yeah, you're too small, you know. Yeah, but everything has changed since then because I stopped having this fantasy of being a perfect image. You know, I started falling in love with what I may have now, and not really focusing on what I don't have, you know. So for the lack of stature I may have, what else can I develop? Not every man is blessed with everything. You see, I'm dark, you're light. You are lighter than me. But I'm grateful because this is who God is. God is not defined by, you know, some mystery, by a certain standard that we set for ourselves. It's literally you and me. We are all created in His own image and likeness. So if you see me as ugly, you are ugly too, because we are all reflections of God. So we are supposed to, you know, not dwell so much on that expectation like I did, and dwell on what really the purpose of why God created everything. God created us. So yeah.
Yes, and at times I also think you also need to think out of the box and see yourself out of that same box. Because I remember there was one time I sat down and explained to someone, you see, when I wake up, my hands are always swollen. And then during the day, they slim back up. And the person was like, you Nivongo, how? How are you created? Did God just throw these things to you? And I was like, no, that's just what I have learned through the years, that at times my hands will swell up, and then after that, they will slim back again. So after all these things, I now stopped looking at myself through my friends' eyes who are judging me, and they were like, you Msani. I was like, I know this is what I am, this is what happens to my body. And once you accept yourself and you accept whatever happens to your body, you tend to see the beauty in everything. Exactly. Right now I can't wake up and hate my hands. Why should I hate my hands? Because of one thing that happens to them. No, you love it the way it is. You love and accept yourself the way that you are.
Exactly. And I think everyone has just that one bit. In fact, on Sunday, Dad was preaching in the first service, and he was saying, of course, we are not perfect, we are not made perfect, but each and every one of us has that one aspect that you will tell God, if you are to maybe mold me again, you know, change this, you know, like, remember the service, So everyone like has that aspect of their insecurity that they learn to just grow with it. You know, they learn to accept themselves the way they are, because the way you've said you like your hands swell.
And they'll also tell you, because I remember there was a time somebody told me my hands are the size of his fist, and I was like, you wound. You get. So I think you just learn to accept it, because you can't change it. You can't change it, and don't allow another person's perspective of who you are to determine who you are as a person.
And now that you've mentioned that, there's this lady, I don't know if you guys know her. She's actually dubbed as the world's ugliest woman.
What?
In fact, she's called Lizzie Vasquez or something. So it's like a Spanish name. So like she was born with a lot of deformities, and even like during her childhood, she grew up like seeing herself as a normal being, because she would just play with kids. There were some kids who were just acceptable of her, and they'll just, Lizzie, come, let's play. But then when she turned 17, somebody put it on social media that she took her picture and put it on social media that she's the ugliest woman in the world, and that really crushed her. It really crushed her. But now she came out of it. How she decided to put off those guys who are body shaming her, and right now she's a celebrity. She goes to seminars. She talks about her deformities. Like, for her, it's a beautiful thing, She has learned to accept. Yeah, it is. She has learned to accept. I mean, oh my God! I think we'll give these guys that photo of the lady. She is one of the kind.
You can imagine if you are all the same. Like, I am you, Gloria. Like, you cannot differentiate us. You cannot differentiate Joshua from me. Can you imagine how that thing would be? It would be so boring.
Right.
Yeah? So boring.
And just from what you've said, I've actually come to believe that true beauty is true pain. You know, being in her shoes, it's painful.
Yeah.
You know, and someone tells you, yeah, you don't fit with what I see myself as. You know, that's painful.
Yeah, it is.
But the truth will eventually come out when you realize that there's beauty in imperfection. You know.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, not because if you actually think about it, if everything was perfect, nothing needs to be worked on.
Exactly.
Why do you think self-improvement exists? Because we keep evolving. Living things grow, dead things stagnate, they don't progress. So self-esteem issue is something everyone faces.
Yeah, true.
We're all human, right? So we all face this thing. So the progress comes when you realize that imperfection makes you human.
Yeah.
Perfection makes you unrealistic. You know.
That's nice.
So it's time to just see that the imperfection is what God blessed you with. You know,
Yeah.
you're supposed to exalt Him with your imperfection.
Exactly.
Could be anything intrinsic. It could be anything that you can see. You know, you just need to be grateful. Because the scripture says, sometimes, you know, when Lazarus was raised from the dead, Jesus came 3 days later when he was already buried. So what did Jesus tell his disciples? He said, sometimes I allow bad things to happen so that you can give glory to the Lord. So through pain, disguised by the story of the Vasquez lady, the Spanish lady, she brought glory to herself by realizing that the pain she went through did not kill her. It only made her stronger. You know, it only made her realize that life is more than what these people are telling me.
Right. Yeah.
Life is more than other people's identities.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so seeing yourself in God's eyes is about removing standards from the flesh
Yeah.
and complementing yourself with the standards of the Spirit, because that's what God wants you to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than that, we can also talk about Moses.
Mm.
We all know that Moses was stammerer.
Right.
I think in his mind he was like, why do this guy want to use me? I'm not worthy enough. Look
Yeah.
at me. I'm literally stammering.
Right.
So what can he use me for?
Yeah.
And we see through his journey through the ends of time, God used him to deliver the Israelites.
Right.
He found himself not worthy enough, but
Right.
God found him worthy enough. At times, whatever people speak into your existence lives inside you, and that's what you speak outwards, and then you tend to cover yourself through that and shield yourself. So at the end of the day, right,
Yeah.
you're living in such a world, in such a cocoon where you're so much afraid of doing things, you're so much afraid of speaking up, you're so much afraid of showing people your talent, you're so much afraid of doing these things because it's already invested in you. And when God, I think when God chooses a person, He knows the reason why. Yeah? All these things affected Moses until God chose him. And God was like, you know what? You're going to take my people out of this land. You alone, you're going to do this. I don't care if you're a stammerer. I don't care if you're not a part of these Israelites, but you alone are going to do this. So, as much as you're afraid, you should know that at His own time, nobody is the least to God. Everyone is His favorite. Because I know that's for sure. I know His favorite. I know, yeah? Even the orphan out there, I know He's also His favorite, right? The widows, the widowers, they're all His favorites.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, as we grow, we should learn to accept ourselves through God's words, yeah? It biblically says that we are beautifully and wonderfully created. Don't allow any deformity, don't allow anything to hold you back. Don't look at yourself in the perspective of, oh, I have so many scars on my body. God does not care about that.
Yeah.
What God cares about is you as a person. And He knows it in His own heart, in His own mind, that I created this person beautifully and wonderfully.
Powerful.
Yeah,
Powerful,
that's very good, Tasha.
Yeah.
And just to add on that, I think also low self-esteem, it actually holds people back.
True.
from realizing their dreams and even realizing that they have so much to give. They have so much love to give people.
Yeah,
If, for
true.
example, you see like
True.
now going back to that lady, right now she
Yeah.
is a celebrity. She motivates people. She talks about, she goes to schools, she encourages young girls. So you see like that kind of love. You
Yeah.
have so much of it to give people. I would also bring up Gideon because when God told him that he was going to deliver the Israelites, he told God, but Lord, how can I do that? I mean, I am the least in my tribe, and my tribe is also the least. Also
Yes.
the double least, the weakest, But just God
Yeah.
told him, just go, I'll be with you. Because at the end of the day, it's not about your insecurities, your
Yeah.
physicalities. I am with you. It's really very encouraging.
Yeah.
From a spiritual standpoint, it's very encouraging. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys something. Why do you think the Bible phrases the words from God, do not be afraid, so much? The Bible is literally written everywhere. Do not be afraid.
Because I believe in the human nature, the way we are.
Yeah.
This is the thing that sparks our bodies, yeah? I don't know if this has happened to any one of you, but there's a time you'll be sitting somewhere and you'll feel a shiver in your body and you're like, what exactly is this? I can't tell this, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's when that voice at times rings in your ear and be like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, yeah?
Right.
Even if something is going to happen wrong, don't be afraid. Even that little shiver that at times you feel from nowhere,
Right.
you should just know that don't be afraid, yeah?
Yeah.
And of course, we can say that the fear comes from a demonic angle because the devil can preach, guys. The devil can preach, you know.
Yeah.
So even just God by himself in his word, just telling you, do not be afraid. He knows. He knows that there'll always be something that, like, if you have like insecurities, zitakwanga tu hapo zikwambia, you're trying to be confident, you're trying to move on, but zila kuchungulia like, we are here. Just move on, but kwa tu hapa tunakungoja. It's like even it's scriptural that even when somebody is delivered, the demons, they're just there roaming. Hovering, just waiting for you. Just the slightest loopholes in Arudi. So are like that. You want to move on, but they're always there.
And then this time,
So that's the fear.
Once, they hit you like 7 times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you're looking at your legs, the next time you'll come, you'll be like, yo, my legs, my hands, my eyes, and you're like,
And I know, right? I know. Yeah. It's very interesting.
I think I have a different angle towards this.
Okay.
The reason why the Bible says do not be afraid so many times is because fear is present.
Right.
Fear is what you feel
Yeah.
in that exact moment where you are afraid, So God wants you to find assertiveness in the present, because most of the things we project from our minds are based on the experiences we have in the past and the things that we don't want to project in the future. So instead of us focusing on the present, we are focusing on the future, Self-esteem happens that way. Because when someone comes and tells you, oh, you're chubby, so your next resolution will be, how do I get skinny?
exactly.
That's the future now.
And
But
then even if you're skinny, you still be like, somebody once told me I'm chubby, so
Because
am I still chubby?
they usually don't bring it out like as a positive
Yeah.
compliment. They'll tell you, oh, you're skinny. There's a difference between, oh, you're so skinny, and oh, you're skinny.
Oh, you still need a good way. Actually, guys, women on. You're like, what?
Right.
Couldn't you have put it in a better way? I'm like, actually, you may conda. Like, use better words. Like, even if you're trying to project something or trying to tell somebody something, try and use a better way. Try and phrase it in a good way that it won't hurt my feelings, but it might help me. Yeah.
So I think self-esteem dwells so much on, projecting the future based on the things you have received in the past, and that putting that burden in the present. And once you put that burden, it's usually hard for you to come out of it, because self-esteem issues are so dark, I'm telling you. It has driven so many people to making decisions that can alter their lives at a young age. Talking people like us, taking their own lives because they feel low because someone else told them, oh, you're supposed to be this.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's so sad, Like you have a whole destiny waiting for you, and at that moment when you receive that backlash from simply thoroughly. So self-esteem is something, or it's a force a dark force. Yeah, like negative self-esteem, it's a dark force that occupies your present by putting your mind into achieving impossible goals in the future based on the things that you were told in the past. You know, so you're putting that burden on yourself so you don't progress, and that's what the devil likes. He doesn't like progress in God. You know, and it happens to every one of us. It's not that it happens to some people and then it happens to everyone because he does not discriminate. You know.
Yeah. In fact, you've spoken about the fear of achieving impossible goals, if I may quote. Now, if we look at our high schoolers or our young fellas in academia, when the society or even your parents have a lot of expectations from you in terms of academia, I remember me. All right, let me not share that part. All right, fine. So this time I think I was still in primary. And I was, kuna kale kastabones kana kujanga tu mtu like, it's very normal. So I remember my parents were like, my mom specifically, she was like, Gloria, usiponiletea marks, such marks. Aki uta repeat, So like, of course, I took it positively and it pushed me to work hard. But you see, for somebody else, they'll be like, maybe, for example, maybe the parent, because they actually affect the lives of their children, right from childhood. So maybe they are like, unashinanga tu kikuwa number last.
Yeah.
I saw another joke on social media, but it was in another language. Ati, unafail kwa hii siari, kwa hiyo ni shetani, I actually laugh at it, but it's really like so negative, it's negatively binding. So, like such things, if you continuously like keep on pushing somebody to the wall that, oh my goodness, isiari na hii maths kwani akili yako ishike hesabu, ati unaanguka hesabu na nilikubaia towel, African parents. They're relating, but you're like aki. Yeah, so it has a negative impact on, and it actually pushes young people to even make their own decisions. Because if a parent tells you, unashinanga ukianguka maths, you'll want to pass, and maybe your destiny is not even like passing the mathematics, but you'll want to please him or her, so you will actually even cheat. Like when I was in campus, there was a very bad incident in my class when I was in 5th year. There was a guy. He was one of the low people in class. Sometimes he would Skype classes because of he could tell us, the negativity at home. So there's a time we were in the exam room, and then he came in. He didn't have content, So he came in and he had a phone. So when we were doing now the exam, the invigilator saw him and he was like, "I'm giving you a second chance." So he took the phone. So we expected him to be like, "Oh my God, nimepewa second chance." Then kidogo the invigilator goes to his desk again. Jendo, stand up. So alikuwa anakamwa Kenya, then ameandika So like later on, he was actually suspended. And later on, like we just, as a class, I was the class rep, we just had to have a conversation with him. And he said, "I cannot fail because my parents have invested so much in me and they have told me I cannot fail." Not like with the fierce way, the aggressive, the version of you can't fail. In fact, if you fail, don't come here. So you see something like this, it even like had very aggressive consequences and fatal because he ended up being suspended.
And also think on that aspect of parents should be somehow lenient, okay? Don't tell, as a child, it's okay to fail. I think that's something that is never preached enough or said enough. It's okay to fail. Even the Bible says it, if I'm not wrong, It's okay to fail. Once you put this pressure on this person, the person might end up doing things that they are not even meant to do. You get I think that gives us an example of where, let's say we have a family of like maybe 5 children, and then out of those 5, 4 are doing well, only one is left out. One maybe didn't get it right in academics, has not gotten it right yet in life. So what will he do? He might end up being a thief. Why? Because there's so much pressure from the 4 who have succeeded, and the parent is like, mbona wewe uko kama wenzako, ona ananiletea unga, ona ananiletea pesa, ona ananiletea nini, shida yako ni nini? Ende uoshe gari. And that thing really hurts somebody. It really makes you feel like you're not worthy enough. As we said about self-esteem, these things tend to make you feel you're not worthy enough, you're not good enough, you're not. So at the end of it all, you end up being a thief, and you also know the ways of a thief. Utashikwa uende ndani uchomwe.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So as much as we're trying to talk about self-esteem on an individual level, we should also try and put it up like parents try and be lenient, teachers try and be lenient.
Right.
Because right now we're looking at the state in which teachers are beating students till they die. Some of them are dead.
Right.
Just being caned. Why? Because they didn't get something right. You should try and be lenient. Try to be humanly enough.
Right.
To one another. Try and show love.
Yeah.
Just as God says, don't do unto others what you can't do to yourself. Just try and be humanly to others.
Right.
Powerful. Yeah, just to add on what you've said, you know, the environment too. The environment can determine, you know, so many things, right? I can give an example of peer pressure, you know. These things in high school, it's literally everywhere. Everyone wants to fit in, you know. But in the process of fitting in, we forget to become standouts. What makes you stand out from the rest? That's what imperfection should teach you. You know, that there's something that I can use this imperfection to my advantage, that can propel me to see myself as valuable. Do not take flaws as inconveniences.
Right.
Take them as opportunities for you to draw yourself close to God.
Right.
Because behind every man's vulnerability,
Right.
is a weapon that God can use.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's powerful.
You know.
Because let's take a look at it. There's this woman, the blind lady that sings gospel.
Oh yeah.
What if she told herself, Mary Atieno, what if she told herself, I can't see, so there's no need for me to sing. Right. There's souls that would have been blessed. There's souls that would have given their lives to God.
True.
Right.
But she looked beyond her blindness and she was like, you know what? Even if I'm blind, I'm still going to do this gospel.
Right. And speaking of Maria Teno, she's a very honorable musician in our country. In her story, she talks about a time when she actually God gave her a choice to give her back her eyesight. And she said, no, Lord, I don't want it. I don't want to see what I'm not supposed to see. I am content the way I am. And you see, it was such a beautiful place of acceptance. And right now she blesses people. People love her music. Her music is everywhere. Yeah, it's very encouraging. And now speaking of self-esteem, you know, it also transcends to mental health. It transcends to the mental health. And just to point out, for example, our graduates, even in the career field, you know, you would develop this mindset that you're not good enough, such that when you're even called to high places, and by high places I mean like an organization, you know, a high standard organization, even for a job, you know, you might want to look back and be like, I don't belong there. I don't belong to sit with those people. I don't belong, you know, with those big people, you know, the way we call them. And that is just a matter of our mindset. And it just has a lot of negativity because, first of all, you might tend to hold back or even not show up, rather, for maybe an interview, you know, or even just a job opportunity. So we want to just discuss this and get to know how we can tackle this as a young generation, because this affects all of us. How you can just learn to push back these negative thoughts and just, you know, ask God to guide you to even grow and build yourself from a place of love and grace. So I don't know about you, JP and Natasha, about mental health and probably their solutions. What do you think about it?
Go first.
Okay, so in my end, it really does affect one, because you tend to hold back on your gifts because you think the space is not enough for you. And at times, the thing is, what I've learned or what I've seen is, at times you tend to hold back with things because you think there's so many people in that same field. There's so many people doing what I'm doing. How will I penetrate in this field? How will I stand out? The thing is, if only you believe in yourself to find yourself worthy enough, right? Put it in your head that, yo, I can do this. Don't wait for anybody's voice. Don't wait for anybody to wake you up and tell you to do this thing. Just believe it in your own self that you're worthy enough.
Right.
Don't look at whoever is doing it. The thing is, there's so many people who are going to do whatever it is that you're doing.
Right.
Let's be truth be told, yeah?
Yeah.
There's so many people who are going to do whatever it is that you're doing. But the unique thing is there can never be a you anywhere else. There can never be another Gloria anywhere else.
Right.
There can never be another JP anywhere else. There can never be another Tasha anywhere else.
Right.
The thing is that there's something unique in you and there's something that you bring.
Right.
So don't allow fear to hold you back. Don't allow whatever it is that you think you are lacking to hold you back.
Right.
Because I believe there is growth when you take a bold step. There's something that you're going to attain when you take a bold step. Yes.
Mental health is highly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on how you perceive it.
Right.
You know, many people talk about good mental health. You know, something can go for the same price but have a different value depending on who the person has it, depending on who has the item they have bought. Same thing to mental health, Good mental health is important because everything that happens within us, outside us, was the power of our mind. It was a man who sat down and thought that I need to create this. What can I create it from? The same mind that can create is the same mind that can destroy. You can destroy yourself if you think that you are not worthy. Depending on where you are, depending on what you do. If you keep telling yourself that I'm valuable, believe me, you're going to be valuable because that's how you perceive yourself. That's how you think of yourself. Whatever a man thinketh, so he is. So if you take time to understand this, you can actually be able to control your thoughts. And if you control your thoughts, you also control the actions that happen behind the thoughts. If you control your negative thoughts, you'll always be blessed that you have the power to detect something that's going wrong and you have to make it right. So that's how powerful the mind is if you only question the power of the mind. You can unlock a power. God gave us the power of control. So if you control your thoughts and gear them positively, you'll be positive. You are byproducts of your thoughts, right? Your actions have detected your thoughts that you have made in your mind. So mental health is the same thing to what I've just said.
Yeah.
Sometimes things can put you down, school work, you have commitments, maybe you have a side hustle you're doing, right? It can put a heavy burden on you. Everyone has to go through a breakdown at some point. No one is perfect, right? You learn from those breakdowns. This is what made me break down. This is what made me have bad mental health. So what can I do to change it? You start questioning your mind to adapt now into what you have learned from the breakdowns and turn them into breakthroughs, Yeah, so as young as our minds are, we can put our thoughts all over the place to make things positive. I don't know about you.
And also I think of recent people have been doing these things called affirmations. And the beautiful thing about these affirmations is you can actually find them from the Bible. Because I think at times we look at other people doing them and we're like, hey, Bible. And the truth is that these things are also in the Bible. Yeah? So I think as we progress, we might find a way how to include them. You can try and portray them how it is. The Bible says that I can find strength through God who strengthens me. So from that I know that I am strong. That's an affirmation. You wake up in the morning, look yourself in the mirror, tell yourself, you know what? I am strong. I can overcome this. That is one affirmation. And as you continue to progress, I think the Bible also contains more of this. We can be picking one after another, just to help each other grow, help each other see the beauty in Christianity. Because self-esteem is such a big issue, mental health is such a big issue, and you're seeing other people raining this thing on Christians, you're like, my God, why? But I believe these things are in the Word. If only we sit down and read the Word, we can be able to help ourselves. As I said, there's a verse that says, I can find strength through God who strengthens me. The first affirmation is, I am strong. You can be telling yourself that every single morning, I am strong. And trust you me, I know that growth is an entire process. The way how I am right now is not the way how I was many years ago. I struggled with these things in primary, in high school, and right now I can really stand in front of someone and just say that, oh, you know what, I'm beautiful. I was never like this. It took progress, it took effort, it took me believing the word of God and what He says about me. So every morning, you wake up and say, you know what, I'm strong. I'm beautiful. Why? Because the word of God says, I'm beautifully and wonderfully created. Those are affirmations, those are words that you speak into existence, into your own life.
True.
Maybe if I can point out, you guys have spoken about affirmations. These are things that we need to constantly keep reminding ourselves, right? And it is not wrong, like for instance, to desire the good things of life. You can desire a good body, you can desire good health, you know. But now you have to do it from a place of acceptance. For instance, you can say, I'm going to the gym to keep fit, not to reduce my, you know, I'm putting on makeup to enhance my beauty, not to hide my imperfections, you know. Yeah, exactly, something like that. So it is okay to desire, you know, these things, but you just desire them from a place of love. And then speaking of affirmations as well, I feel that it is important for us as a young generation to also have somebody that we are accountable to. Because if somebody is low, these people easily, you know, go into depression. So they need somebody to constantly keep reminding them that, you know what, there's no space for that. I'm a friend, I cannot tolerate that. You have to, girl, get up and go. Boy, get up and go, you know, these things. So just be accountable, have an authoritative figure or a figure of authority in your life, you know, to just keep reminding you.
Also, as at some point in time, at times when you mess up, mom is always like, you know what, my child, you're beautiful enough.
Right.
Why are you so much afraid?
Right.
You're very precious. Why don't you believe you're precious?
Right.
Those words, there's something that it does to us.
Right.
And I think even if, as you said, an authoritative figure can also input that into your life, it will really help. Yeah.
And maybe just also tell people to not be afraid of making mistakes, because you're gonna make mistakes. Let me tell you guys, I am part of a worship team, and there was a day I made a terrible. It was so evident, and it was terrible, a terrible mistake. And actually reached out to mom, and you know, she really encouraged me and told me, don't be so hard on yourself, because by then I was so hard on myself. I was like, Akisa inini nimeimba, but you know, I was so hard. But then, you know, she encouraged me and told me, you know, I've seen you grow. I've seen you like begin this journey from below, and you're really at a good place. So always want to learn mistakes, because out of the ugly, the beauty of it always comes out. You know, it's like tending to a garden.
Don't be afraid of that.
It's like that. You have to weed, you know, the weeds out. You have to water your garden so that you see the good, you know, the good seeds grow. So
and for my closing remarks, John 1:1, or from the book of John, it says, in the beginning the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Right. So what you create from your speech is not just what you speak. It's something that can come to life. Because God's words were so powerful that He was able to create the world in 6 days. So if you speak based on the place of fear, you will be expecting catastrophe all over the place, and you are projecting it over your mind. So this is why I always say, when fear is close to your ear, keep faith close to your heart. Faith in God. Because life, we don't walk by sight, we walk by faith. You know. So if this program is about channeling that desire for people to see life through the eyes of God, we should not have this humanly desire to achieve something that is not godly by speaking things that are not of God. You know. So whenever it comes close to you, remember you have the power in your mind to control it. You have God. Why suffer when you have the treasure inside of you? You may not be blessed with everything else, but there's this treasure inside of you. You know, Jesus died on the cross. It's here. He carried that on the cross for you to receive that healing, you know. So when you talk of self-esteem, you also need to think about Christ, you know. Every imperfection that I always think of, Christ carried it on the cross. Why should I carry it when it's in my heart? You know, if you read the book Jesus Stripes, you know, it's inside the heart. He carried it on his body for me to have the love in my heart. So why hate another person for telling me how I look like when Jesus took my blemishes to the cross? You know? So what I can tell to the audience is never fear when it's close to your ear. Because when you walk by faith, God will lead you to paths you can't see. But when you reap the fruits, they'll be sweeter than honey. Because that's what God has promised when you have the treasure inside. Because the price was already paid on the cross by the Jesus stripes and the whips before he was crucified. You know.
And so, and to add on him, at times I think we tend to downplay ourselves and forget whose children we are. As the word says, my Father is the God of the hills and the valleys. He owns gold, silver, bronze. God is the God of everything. So as much as you tend to downplay yourself, continue to remind yourself constantly whose child you are. Who is the father of gold? Who's the father of silver? Who's the father of bronze? Who's the father of all those things that you admire? It's him. And so let nobody's words determine who you'll be. Just keep it deep into your heart, engraved into your heart, that my Father is the God of the hills and the valleys. He owns the gold, he owns the bronze, he owns everything. So nobody's word should determine how I look at myself, rather than his word.
All right, everybody, it is time to land this plane finally. We have had a very encouraging and inspirational conversation with our young people here. And maybe just to close with my remarks, just begin. Are you struggling with, low self-esteem, inferiority complex? Just begin with baby steps. You'll get there. Begin with baby steps. Consider God as your guide, as your pillar of strength, and we'll see you on the other side. This has been your host, Gloria.
I've been your host, Judah.
I'm Tasha. See you on the next episode. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.